Picture this, you're at a rock concert, the vibe is electric, everyone's just trying to enjoy the show. Then, out of nowhere, some entitled girl shoves her way through, slaps you in the face, twice and ruins everyone's night. What would you do? Well, I got my revenge, and it felt so good. Stick around for a story that'll leave you cheering. If you've ever been pushed around by someone who thought they owned the place, this story's for you. Hit that like button, smash subscribe, and let's dive into one of the most satisfying revenge tales you'll hear today. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. It was a warm summer night, the kind where the air hums with anticipation. The local arena was packed to the brim with rock fans, mostly folks in their 40s and 50s, all there to relive the glory days of their favorite band. The floor was a sea of faded band tees, graying hair, and genuine smiles. The energy was high but respectful. No mosh pits, no shoving. Just a crowd of people who'd earned their spot and were ready to lose themselves in the music. My buddy, Mike, and I, along with our wives, Sarah and Jen, had been looking forward to this concert for months. We'd snagged spots close to the stage, not too close to get crushed, but near enough to feel the bass thrum through our chests. The lights dimmed, the crowd roared, and the first chords ripped through the air. It was perfect, until she showed up. She was young, maybe mid-20s, with an attitude that screamed, "The world revolves around me." Let's call her Kaylee. Kaylee strutted into the crowd like she owned the place, her high ponytail swinging, her glittery crop top catching the stage lights. She didn't just walk, she pushed, elbows out, shoulders squared. She carved her way through the crowd, muttering, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Ugh, why are all these tall people on the floor? Move." She snapped at a guy in front of her, who looked more confused than annoyed. The crowd around us exchanged glances. Who does this girl think she is? Mike and I instinctively moved closer to our wives, forming a protective wall. Sarah, my wife, is petite, barely 5 feet tall, and the last thing I wanted was for her to get knocked around by this human tornado. Jen, Mike's wife, leaned over and whispered, "What's her deal?" I just shrugged, trying to focus on the music, but Kaylee wasn't done. She planted herself right next to us, flailing her arms in what she probably thought was dancing, but looked more like a tantrum. Her elbows jabbed into people's ribs, her feet stomped on toes, and she kept yelling at anyone who dared stand in her line of sight. "You're blocking my view," she screeched at me, as if my 6'2" frame was a personal insult. I took a deep breath, my jaw tightening. Just ignore her, I told myself. Don't let her ruin this. But then she took it to another level. "Hey," she said, leaning in close to me, her breath reeking of cheap vodka. "Your wife's my friend, so move." I blinked, stunned. Sarah and I had been married for 15 years, and I was pretty damn sure she didn't know this girl. Sarah peeked around me, her brow furrowed. I don't know you," she said, her voice polite but firm. Kaylee just rolled her eyes and shoved past me, her shoulders slamming into my chest. The crowd grumbled, and a guy behind us muttered, "Someone needs to chill." That's when it happened. Kaylee's wild flailing sent her hand smacking across my face. Hard. The sting burned my cheek, and for a split second, I was too shocked to react. The crowd gasped, and Mike grabbed my arm. "You okay, man?" he asked, his eyes wide. I nodded, but my blood was boiling. Who the hell does that? I thought, my fists clenching at my sides. I glanced at Sarah, who looked furious but also worried. "Just let it go," she whispered, squeezing my hand. And I tried, God, I tried, but Kaylee wasn't done. A few minutes later, as she spun around to yell at someone else, her hand flew out again and caught me right in the jaw. Smack. The second hit wasn't as hard, but it was the principle of it. Twice. Really, the crowd was done with her. A woman, behind us, probably in her 50s with a leather jacket and a nonsense vibe, shouted, "Hey, calm your shit down." 2 other guys chimed in, telling her to stop pushing people. Kaylee just flipped them off and kept dancing, oblivious to the fact that she was now public enemy number 1. My patience was gone. I could feel the heat rising in my chest, my pulse pounding in my ears. I wasn't a violent guy, never had been, but this girl was begging for a lesson. And then I saw it. Her purse, slung carelessly over her shoulder, wide open, practically begging for karma to step in. I looked at Mike. He raised an eyebrow, like he could read my mind. Sarah was focused on the stage, trying to ignore the chaos. In my hand was a large plastic cup of beer, still mostly full, the foam sloshing gently. I didn't plan it. It wasn't some grand scheme, but as Kaylee turned her back to argue with the leather jacket lady, I tilted my cup and poured a steady stream of cold, frothy beer glugged into her purse, soaking her wallet, her keys, her precious phone, everything. It was like watching a slow-motion train wreck, except I was the conductor, and it felt glorious. 3 women standing behind us saw the whole thing. One of them, a short lady with a pixie cut, gave me a thumbs up and stifled a laugh. Another whispered, "Nice one," to her friend, who was already giggling. I kept my face neutral, sipping what was left of my beer like nothing had happened. Kaylee didn't notice a thing, not yet. For the next 20 minutes, she kept dancing, oblivious to the disaster brewing in her purse. The band played on. The crowd sang along, and I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. Justice was coming, and I had a front row seat. Then it happened. Kaylee reached into her purse, probably to take a selfie or text her friends about how amazing the concert was. Her hand froze, her face twisted in horror as she pulled out her phone, dripping with beer. "What the hell?" she shrieked, loud enough to turn heads. She dug through her purse, pulling out a soggy wallet and a set of keys that glistened with foam. "Who did this?" she demanded, spinning around to glare at the crowd. I raised my beer cup, still half full, and gave her a blank stare. "Not me," I said, turning my back to her. The women behind me snorted with laughter, and even Mike had to bite his lip to keep from cracking up. Kaylee tried to make a scene, stomping over to security and waving her ruined phone in their faces. But the guards, 2 burly guys who'd probably seen it all, just chuckled and shrugged. "Maybe don't leave your purse open in a crowd," one of them said, barely hiding his smirk. Kaylee's face turned red, her voice rising to a whine. "This is bullshit," she yelled, but no one cared. The crowd had turned on her, and she was alone in her misery. After the concert, as we filed out into the cool night air, I spotted her outside the venue. She was pacing, her purse still dripping, begging random strangers to let her use their phone to call an Uber. Her mascara was smudged, her confidence shattered. "Please, my phone's dead," she pleaded, but most people just walked past, shaking their heads. Sarah squeezed my arm and whispered, "Karma's a bitch, huh?" I just smiled. The moment I poured that beer into Kaylee's purse, it was like the universe aligned. Her shocked scream when she discovered the beer soup was music to my ears, sweeter than any guitar riff that night. Her frantic digging, her ruined phone, her futile yelling, it was the perfect payback for her entitlement. Her shoving, her slaps. I didn't need to say a word. The crowd's laughter, the security guard's shrugs, and her own humiliation did all the talking. For the first time that night, I felt like I could breathe again. Justice wasn't just served, which was ice and frothy. Looking back, maybe dumping a beer in her purse was a bit much, but in that moment, it felt like the only way to balance the scales. Kaylee thought she could push everyone around and get away with it, but karma doesn't play favorites. Sometimes, the universe needs a little nudge to remind people. Treat others with respect, or you might end up with a purse full of beer and a long walk home. What do you think? Did she get what she deserved? If this story gave you that sweet, satisfying feeling of justice served, smash that like button and drop a comment below. What's the most epic revenge you've ever seen or pulled off? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for more Reddit revenge stories that'll keep you hooked. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next on